Hugh Hewitt with former United States Senator Jim Talent. Good morning, Senator. Good to have you.
Good morning, Hugh. It's always good to be on.
Thank you. I want to read to you a portion of a speech that the new Chief of Naval Operations, Michael Gilday, gave to the Surface Navy Association this week, which is kind of an eye-opener. He said, quote, "The Navy budget for fiscal year 2016 came in at $160 billion, a modest 1.5% increase over the previous administration's submission. This budget is well short of the type of investment necessary to return the Navy to its full strength of 350 ships while also addressing significant readiness and maintenance shortfalls. To accomplish these goals, we recommend an average ship procurement budget increase of $7 billion per year over the next 8 years. That would fund the shipbuilding program proposed here, including the purchase of an additional carrier, and cover the initial Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine replacement. We also recommend an average increase in aviation procurement of $3.5 billion over the next 8 years to address the strike fighter shortfall and reintroduce a robust long-range strike capability in the carrier air wing. These new ships and aircraft will necessitate a change in the Navy's operation and maintenance budget, which should rise from its present $48.4 billion to $57 billion. Increased personnel costs must be factored in as well, netting an $8.2 billion year increase by the end of President Trump's second term. Overall, the Navy budget we propose would rise from $160 billion to just over $190 billion by fiscal year 2024." End of quote. Jim Talent, my comment is finally clarity. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I've been saying it for years, Hugh. It is simply impossible to recapitalize the inventories of the services, including the Navy, at the current top line. And that's even given the fact that, yes, we got out from under the sequester, and the Trump administration made a lot of progress with almost a $100 billion increase in 2 years, but we're trying to make up for 20 years of underfunding and 6 years under the sequester, which was an unmitigated disaster for the armed forces and American national security. So that sounds realistic to me. So it's about 10 to 11 billion increase when you, in the shipbuilding accounts and the naval air accounts. That sounds pretty realistic to me.
Now, how does the Congress get its arms around this? What happens next? The Navy has finally defined what it needs. They've asked for their top line. What happens next?
Well, the budget resolution that's passed, if they pass one, needs to reflect an increase in the defense top line. So if we don't have a budget resolution, then the appropriations bills need to reflect that. And then the Senate's going to have to carry it, as we heard in the debate. All the Democratic candidates are saying we need to cut defense, or at least many of them are. So the Senate's going to have to carry this. You have Jim Inhofe on a lot. He's going to be a major player. You're going to see House members like Gallagher and Liz Cheney pushing for this. And the Navy is probably, I mean, the place where we need to go first for a whole lot of reasons, but all of the services need increases like this year.
I agree, but I'm thinking more internally, because I think there are people at OMB who are going to say, sorry, we can't do this. They tried to cut the Truman, for goodness sake. Doesn't the president have to direct the OMB to do what the CNO asks and the Secretary of the Navy demands? Isn't that step one?
If that's necessary, but I would be surprised if those battles haven't been fought to some extent, because he was able to give this speech. And I suspect Mark Esper has had some discussions in the White House. I suspect Robert O'Brien has organized this kind of a debate. The president wants a 355-ship Navy. So in a sense, that basic policy decision has already been made. But you're right. I mean, OMB, their job is to keep anybody from spending any money, and so that fight's going to have to be had, as it was under Reagan. Remember when Reagan fired? You were there.
Yes.
Fired Stockman, and that was in part over his resistance to Cap Weinberger's plans to rebuild the Navy, rebuild the armed forces in general.
Now, I think it would be useful for the president to actually take the CNO's speech, crib it, and give it himself. I think it would be important for him to throw down and say, it took us 3 years to get organized. We know exactly what we need, and I'm running on this platform, and I'm demanding this budget so that when he wins in the fall, he has a mandate. Do you think that he will do that?
And I think it would be, I think he's going to talk a lot about defense. You know, my concern is the natural tendency of a political leader in an election mode to say, well, we've basically accomplished it. Because they have made progress, Hugh. I mean, it was a big thing to get rid of the defense sequester. But I think you're right, and I think it would be very popular politically, not just a question of getting a mandate. The American people want to be defended. They want to be safe, and they know the armed forces are the cutting edge of that. And they also know that the stronger we are, the less likely we're going to have to fight.
Quick question, Jim Talent. You were a senator. Here's Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
Okay, so are you surprised that they're doing that, Jim Talent?
Oh, this thing has become such a farce that nothing surprises me at this point. But, I mean, I don't believe Bernie said that, for what it's worth.
Interesting. I think Elizabeth Warren wants that fight. Jim Talent, always a pleasure to talk to you.